The government is funded and the continuing resolution has passed. It's vital that Congress can now pivot to supercharge the economy with good fiscal and energy policies, of course. The spring agenda should be pretty clear for Congress at this point. Pass the White House budget. Pass a pro-growth tax bill, slash the debt with smart spending cuts while improving the opportunity for American taxpayers to go farther and do more. It all goes back to President Trump's announcement of one big, beautiful bill that includes all of the top economic priorities. Here with me to discuss this is the Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. Brandon, nice to see you here again today. Listen, if the president can stay on track and those on the left don't drag every decision into a courtroom, we can get some things done here. Reconciliation, one big, beautiful bill. What are you hoping for? Because there's the possibility there could be two. It depends on who you ask, but there could be two reconciliation bills in a single year. He'd like to get as much of it done in one as possible. Give me your wish list. Brandon, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, my first wish list is that they start moving in Congress rather than sitting on their hands. We've waited too long already for these bills to start to move. We took a big step in the House just a few weeks ago when they passed a budget that opens up the door to this process. But as is the case far too often, things are moving pretty slowly in the Senate. And I get it. They want to make sure that they have the sentiment of all the senators from all over the ideological spectrum in the Republican conference over there. But at the end of the day, we need to pass, first and foremost, a tax bill that supercharges the economy, as you put it. I think that's absolutely critical. We've already seen a little bit of shakiness in markets. We need to start driving down prices. We need to start trimming away at the size of government. And we need to make sure that Americans aren't going to face a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase at the end of next year. The time to move is pretty much now.
The time to move is pretty much now, Brandon. I accept that sentiment. When you look at tax policy, and of course we want to extend the Trump tax cuts of 2017 and make them permanent, but tax policy long term, I see a lot of states, New Hampshire being the latest, I believe, on the 1st of January went to a zero tax, no income tax in the state of New Hampshire. I think that becomes state number 8. And you see these states like Tennessee and Florida, now New Hampshire, we'll see where they are in a year or two. But you know what the result is. We've seen this play out before. The lower the taxes, the more economic activity, and then the larger the tax revenue for the state or the county or whomever lowers taxes. We've seen this with John Kennedy, we've seen it with Ronald Reagan, and we'll see it again now, won't we?
Oh, absolutely. You see where people are moving right now. They're voting with their feet. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to low tax states like North Carolina and Arizona. All because, not all because, but largely because of the tax climate there, the regulatory climate, the fact that these states can be run with a relatively low level of spending and certainly low level of taxation. So we need to emulate that for the federal government, driving down tax rates the best we can, making the government smaller. We've started to see some progress there from DOGE, but it's time for Congress to participate in this heavy lift here because those cuts, as you allude to, could be struck down by courts. The way to get around that, of course, is to have Congress enact some of these cuts as statutes, have the president sign them into law, and then courts are by and large going to be unable to overturn them.
You know, I know this might not be exactly your side of the street, but I know you pay attention to this. And I just saw an announcement just before we came on today of this major furniture manufacturer leaving British Columbia and coming to the United States because of tariffs, saying, well, we can't compete and most of our market is in America. We're bringing our factory to the United States. So when you look at tax policy, hard to divorce that from tariff policy. And tariffs, you know, are a tool, not a long-term solution, I don't believe, but it does elicit change from our trading partners, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And we're still working through this tariff situation for sure. I'm a fan of low tariffs. I do agree that we need to drive down tariffs abroad. We need to open up markets for United States manufacturers, our producers. We make some of the best stuff on the planet. And for countries to block us out of their markets, I think is completely inappropriate. So let's use tariffs to the extent that we need to for that isolated purpose. I don't think we can reinvent the United States economy that way. I think the best way to do that is really good tax policy. We were pretty close to the mark in 2017. Now we need to build on that success to make sure we're incentivizing manufacturers to come here, to stay here, to grow here, and to create a lot of jobs along the way.
Targeted tariffs with specific goals in mind, they seem to work. Yeah, broad-based tariffs probably not as effective. Brandon Arnold, always appreciate you being here from the National Taxpayers Union. Brandon, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.